confront her, but how do you say this is the end? I'm through being taken for granted. I'm the one you call when nobody's home. Being with you means just disappointments. I'm your last escape, so I've been told. Don't bring that bomber to my door again, my friend. You know that you've been crying wolf too many times. Well, this time I know it. Been there, I've done that. Those words are just sand in my head. If you like, the words will be words till you bring them to life. So talk if you like, the words will be words till you bring them to life.
Let me send it to
Welcome to the show. Let's catch up with Mike. I am your host, Mike Vatter. That was Talk, Talk, Talk by St. Michael featuring Anya Gold. And today's guests are Brannon Hicks and Chris Macadangdang. Brannon is a retired law enforcement officer and former assistant SWAT lieutenant. Is that right?
Team leader,
sorry. And I even wrote that down and I still got it wrong. And Chris is a former Marine, and now they are self-defense fitness trainers and former gym owners.
Yep.
And fitness enthusiasts and gurus of all things weight and fitness training and muscle building and answering all questions of all people on social media through video chats about everything from BMI to supplements to vitamins and
a lot of that.
Yeah. I feel like every time I go on your feed, you guys are answering questions about,
it's a daily gig. Yeah.
I bench press my dog. How many calories should I take in? Like the weirdest questions people ask me.
Is it a Saint Bernard? Is it a Chihuahua? Details.
If I curl my cat, how much eggs should I eat today? You get the weirdest questions sometimes.
That sounds like it's going on a fail video somewhere, but
I'm sure someone's done it.
Your cat will not tolerate that.
No, I don't think it would. I don't think I would. So
exactly.
Probably the cat won't.
So tell me a little bit about you guys. How you got into this, and share whatever you want. Tell me about yourselves, and then I've got some questions for you.
Oh gosh, man! As far as training, that goes way back. So I started training in I think 1978, 79, somewhere around there. So I was
4.
I was a wee lad, somewhere around 4, and started in traditional Chinese martial arts. Spread out over the years into kickboxing, judo, wrestling, boxing, Muay Thai boxing, all kinds of stuff. Just kind of stuck with it. Kali Silat, Filipino martial arts. And it's just kind of been the thing that's kind of been with me for my whole life. Some people crochet, some people play soccer. I do martial arts, so it's kind of been my life and what's followed along with me. And I guess fitness training is, of course, part and parcel for that. In order to do that well competitively, you gotta be on the ball.
Yeah.
I met Chris about 3 years ago. We actually had some mutual friends in the martial arts, which is how I connected with him on Facebook. And he's been training with me for most of that time.
Very cool. So obviously, as a law enforcement officer and a SWAT assistant team leader, and as a Marine, fitness has always been important to you. And then, how did that segue into fitness training for as clients? How did you get into that, personal training one-on-one?
So really kind of where that started, I've been training people in martial arts since I was a teenager. So, we've kind of been doing that just kind of all along. When I was in law enforcement, everybody in law enforcement has a niche, right? And you find out what that thing is that you like best. And certainly for me, that was training. Whether that meant training in verbal communication, which is one of my favorite things to teach, verbal judo, teaching officers how to communicate better, how to interact with people better, or whether it was defensive tactics, how to execute physical control at a reasonable degree. that's really what I loved about law enforcement. That's why I decided to retire early and branch out and start teaching citizens in general. I also started teaching a lot more law enforcement officers, not just my department, but I've taught all over the country. I have students teaching in Africa. I have students teaching in Europe, South America, North America. So reach has really kind of expanded there, and it's been pretty good. And that's how I met my boyfriend, so that's pretty cool.
I like that. That was a subtle introduction to your outside of work relationship. That was very cool. So congratulations on that. So you guys, so this picture here is from training you guys did in the Metro nightclub. Is that correct?
Yeah, we did a fun little photo shoot up at Metro, and we kind of had this idea, like Chris's idea. Really, we were kind of rolling around.
I was watching a James Bond film. I think it was James Bond. It was like 007 Skyfall or something.
I think it was.
And there was a fight scene with Daniel Craig and Dave Bautista. And when I saw that scene, all I can remember is how similar Dave Bautista looked to be like you. I'm like, we should do something like this. Like, I think that'd be pretty cool.
You're a celebrity doppelganger for sure. Yeah,
I thought everybody was crazy. Honestly, they kept saying to look like Dave Bautista. I'm like, no, I don't. So I'm scrolling through Facebook one day, and I see a picture of me petting this pit bull, and I'm like, when the hell did I pet that pit bull? And I'm like, oh shit, that's Dave Bautista. But he had like a similar T-shirt and glasses, and I was like, oh, well, all right then.
Yeah, well, definitely a compliment because I've been told I look like a number of celebrities that I don't heard of, and I'm like, who is? There's apparently I don't even know the name of the show. It's a nail salon reality show or something. And before I grew my beard, people would stop me on the street and say I look like the guy who managed the nail salon or hair salon on some reality show, and I'm like. People would stop me and say, "Oh, you're that guy," and I'm like, "I don't even know what show you're talking about."
Yes, I'm that guy. I don't know.
Yeah, you're compared to a celebrity people know. So, and he's good looking, and he's quasi famous, so that's great.
I guess if they told me I look like Gollum, I'd be a little upset.
Yeah,
all right.
At least you're a household name. So, but yeah, actually, Brandon, you and I met at for the first time in person, I should say. We met at the Metro at a training that you did. We've been on social media for a while, and it was a training you did at the Metro for the LGBTQIA community. It was after the Pulse shooting, actually.
It was, shortly after that.
Yeah, and it was actually a great self-defense that you taught, class that you taught there. So I do appreciate that you've always been proponent for reaching out to the community for not just obviously self-defense, but for charitable purposes too. Not as a moneymaker for yourself, but also to help people, truly for charitable reasons to say, hey, this is something everyone needs to know. And I know you've done it for other causes as well, so I definitely appreciate that. Chris, so obviously, this guy sucked you in and said, hey, I want you to be a part of this, this fitness thing with me. How did you guys, obviously, with the relationship here, but how did you become a professional trainer in his wheelhouse as opposed to just, hey, I'm a Marine and I want to stay fit? How did this become a career for you?
Well, really, it's I'm actually growing it more into a career, but that's pretty much how it started. Ever since before even the Marine Corps, something about physical fitness and taking care of your body, your mind, and your spirit, something all about that altogether just was attractive to me. And along the way, I dealt with a lot of things in life, and they've molded me to who I am. And without fitness, which played a big part in my recovery and my life in general, I wouldn't know where I'd be. I think taking care of your mind, body, and spirit altogether is a prominent thing for anyone. Anyone should do it. Me personally, I am working as a flight mechanic or an aircraft mechanic. I am using this opportunity that I'm working at to propel me to this career. However that looks like. I do know that there are courses that I can take in the meantime, and really just kind of settling down, doing it the smart way, not making manic decisions along the way, and just kind of doing it naturally, organically. But yeah, that's one thing I really want to get into in the future, is in that I don't know what it would look like, whether it's a physical, therapist or trainer, something along the lines of mental health with it too. Altogether, I think all that is just, it's for me personally, I can't just have fitness and not take care of my mind. Like I have to take care of everything, and it comes together, and it really does. And I would love to share that in what kind of industry or job that is. I don't know, but
Well, one of the things we started talking about, one of the cool things about martial arts, if you're going to get better at it and grow in it, you got to give it away.
Mhm.
So you've got to start teaching it at some point to gain a different level of mastery over it. And if anybody trains for any length of time, they end up kind of coaching, even if it's just their fellow students. And it becomes a really cool environment where it's not just you coming in to make yourself better. You got 10, 15, 20 people all there working to make you better. So Chris had progressed to that point. He's a blue belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. That's a couple years of training. Level 2 in Krav Maga, kind of the same. And I thought it would be good for him to start coaching others, trying to give that away, kind of give that back. He did. He got more comfortable with that, and I think it would be
I was super nervous.
It's always awkward
for
at
me
first.
because like I'm used to just being the student and hearing and following, but to be the one to actually, you've been doing this for so many years, and for me to do it, it's like you're so comfortable. I'm like, how the hell? Like, I want to get to your point where your competence and your
You just got to wait a couple decades.
Yeah.
It just falls into place.
It's fine. Just keep doing it.
It's like hostage negotiation. It's fine. It just falls into place.
It's good.
Yeah. So you guys have both you've been in some intense situations in your former career, I'm sure. I mean, being a Marine is super easy. And, being a SWAT team lead, being a cop, those are super easy jobs. It's like
totally. Yeah, it's fun. Yeah, it's cool.
like they hand you a gun and a helmet, and they're like, "Go for it, you got this." So you guys have both mentioned, being able to like ground yourself and have like a almost like a meditation kind of a Zen approach to martial arts, which I'm sure is super important. But there has to have been, and I don't want to get into your deep psychological lives, but I'm sure there's been some sort of a PTSD or PTS response you guys have had to your horrible experiences on the job that you've had to face at some point. But is there like a grounding or a meditation kind of practice that you could suggest to people who deal with kind of a stress or a trauma in their lives? I'm not shy about talking about that. I deal with anxiety and ADD, and it's something that I know a lot of people deal with on some level. And that does get into your head when you try to start like a fitness routine or any sort of stressful change in your life. Is there anything best that can help people to kind of get into that zone and say, okay, I'm going to start this big life change of weight or fitness?
Well, I think there are a couple of aspects to that, and you don't have to, obviously, as you don't have to be in a career like law enforcement in the military to have some unfortunate experience with PTSD. It comes from many different places. I do, and
those are extreme.
Right. Yeah. But, those are, good examples, if you're going to pull them out. But I think part of what I've always kind of gone back to, if you look at the samurai, who I like to point out, if you look at the Knights of Europe, these were people whose jobs were warfare. They were by definition destructive. But, you look at some really good examples there. Miyamoto Musashi is a good example. He's considered the sword saint of Japan, the greatest swordsman in the history of Japan. And he taught us that we have to do something to create as well and not just do destructive things. So Chris is an artist, he draws, he's a visual medium. I write, so sometimes it's poetry, sometimes that's essay forms, whatever that is, music as well. But I think if you balance what can feel like destructive forces coming from other parts of your life with creative forces, that can help quite a bit. And when it comes to training, so primarily what we do with self-defense is Krav Maga. And we like other martial arts, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Judo, and all that stuff. But with self-defense, what we train people in is Krav Maga. Now, people know that as a self-defense system, not so much martial arts. So when they come into it, I'd say there's two groups of people. Most people don't come to Krav Maga thinking, oh, this will be cool, I want to roll around, I want to throw somebody. two groups of people typically. One, something bad has already happened and they don't want it to happen again, or they're in a situation where they foresee something bad happening. It becomes a very real possibility for them, so they come in hoping to prevent that. So Chris and I both had bad things happen. We want to mitigate that possibility or go through it better in the future. Other people just kind of see that happening. So we have to, our trick is creating a safe space. And I know a lot of people joke about safe spaces, but all that means for me is we are comfortable to talk about anything that we need to talk about inside of that safe space. And everybody's going to be accepting of whatever it is that we need to talk about or train inside of that space. So that's what that is for me.
Right. Is there anything same, Chris, or would you into that?
For me, as far as like centering yourself and grounding yourself, I've always had a hard time doing that. I would always react. I wouldn't respond. I would always follow through with these intrusive thoughts and behaviors. And it got to a point where it got very toxic for me and for both of us, really anyone who ever loved me. And got to the point where I have to be vigilant. I really have to be vigilant to be aware of my emotions. Sometimes it's as simple as calling my shit out. Hey, I'm feeling this kind of way. And just sharing it. The best way for me to get out of myself is to either help someone or just let it out of my chest and not have any regret or any judgment about it. Just being human for once and not being this just hollow shell of a person who is trying to make things seem all right. And, I think the more vulnerability I have about that and acceptance about that, the more I am comfortable in my own skin. I recently just came out of the closet like 8 months ago. Yeah, 8 months ago. And it's and that follows along with being brutally honest with myself. If I'm brutally honest with myself, I'm loving myself, I'm taking care of myself, I'm being aware of my thoughts and emotions, and it's practice for me. But as far on the lines of martial arts and fitness, I've had Krav Maga. It was a big part in my life as far as learning to express myself, express that part of me, that scared, lonely child who can finally realize I am capable. I am, I do have, it kind of creates this self-esteem. And oftentimes I see it all the time. We'd have people that come into Krav that I've seen either were bullied a lot in school or something. And you can tell they're pretty soft. And along the way, they gain this esteem and confidence. And you can see it in their actions and the way they behave. And it's really fucking awesome to see. It's like, to witness that.
It's very cool.
To be a part of that, process.
Somebody you should, if you get a chance to talk to sometime, I think you'd really like to talk to her, is one of my black belts, Erin Pruitt. She runs Ubuntu Counseling. Okay. Really interesting life, but she's just one of the best examples of what we can do with somebody in Krav Maga. And I still remember her first day walking in, and years ago, but she looked at her feet. She left every class crying for 2 or 3 months, just broken down. She had a lot of trauma to deal with, which, she talks quite a bit about. What a transformation, man. Just night and day, 2 different people. And she's a fascinating person. She's been all over the world helping refugees and people that need it. And so much, I've learned a lot from her. She says she's learned a lot from me, but man, I've learned a lot from her, about how to create spaces where people can work and not have to be afraid, And for her first classes, she would walk out the back door, and I'd walk out there, and she'd be in tears, she'd be broken down. I'd talk her through it. All right, let's go back in, let's use it, let's build on it. And Chris has had trauma, I've had trauma, she's had trauma, and it's useful to be able to take those experiences and to help other people, because it helps you heal from it, for sure.
Oh, for sure, tenfold.
That's awesome. I really appreciate that, because it's probably not a question you expect me to ask, but so I appreciate that you were so honest with that answer. I really do. I know you guys are obviously both in great shape. And I know you guys, you do the bulking up and the cutting, and you get your big boots hard on. so you do the bulking up and you do the cutting, you do the cycle there. But what's your favorite like cheat or your favorite like carb heavy, or like if you just want to go all out, you just like, I don't know if it's when you're bulking or if it's like just you just want like a junk food. What's your favorite?
Oh man, yeah,
Like,
that's a
That's
broad
a loaded
field
question.
that I get pretty excited about. But if I'm gonna like narrow that sucker down, I have to say any combination of chocolate and peanut butter. I will absolutely put myself into a food coma.
Yeah.
That way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like I haven't had red meat since I was 12 years old. I cut out red meat as
Really?
yeah. But I'll eat a steak if you put peanut butter on it. I'll eat it raw. I'll eat anything with
Yeah.
yeah. Peanut butter is my go-to. That's my big thing.
I love steak so much. I'll look at him and tell him, "My God, you look like a ribeye." That's how much I love steak. That's how that goes.
Yeah. I like peanut butter so much you can put it on a woman. And
This guy has seriously mauled some cheesecake in his time.
I
too.
have, yeah.
Like almost criminally, the things he's done to cheesecake. It's been pretty rough.
And you know, it's interesting because like you have different body types that come to fitness in different directions. I was always insecure about, you know, my size being small and skinny, and you know, so to be on the other side of that perspective, eating is like to the point where it's a chore.
Yeah,
It's
everybody thinks bulking is it. They're like, "Oh, you're bulking." You do whatever. Oh my God, man!
You're skinny.
But look, though, seriously,
you gotta eat.
when I met him, hold on, I just lost you. When I met him, he weighed about 150 pounds, right? Hang tight. Sorry.
Okay, wait.
Sorry. Let's try that again.
Probably more important. Go ahead.
So when I met him, he weighed about 150 pounds, right?
Yeah.
Soaking wet. Yeah, he was just light and feathered, kind of throw him all over the place. And he's about 185? 185 today. So you know we've put a lot of weight on him, but it was really getting him conditioned to eat enough to put that mass on was pretty challenging.
I was 185 at birth.
Yeah, and everybody thinks that's great. You know, they think that's like the best thing ever. You know, it's like, oh, you get to eat all this stuff. But by the end of the day, when you're bulking, this is horrible. I don't want to eat anything else. I don't want to eat this food. And you got to get those calories in. So it's not always fun.
But the cutting part, you know, I've been bulking mostly, and when it comes to the point of cutting, which I'm not proficient enough, I haven't cut in a long time. So
you haven't needed to, though.
I haven't, but having to now after this is going to be interesting.
So it's
we got your audio. There we go. Let me respond to this real quick.
Okay. So is cheesecake your answer?
Oh, I absolutely love cheesecake.
Short answer, cheesecake.
I don't care what flavor it is. I don't care like how, you know.
Meat topping doesn't matter.
I will inhale that shit. Yeah,
that's the way that's gonna go.
Okay, so I know how much Brannon loves cardio and leg day. So we all have that one machine or that one exercise that is like the one thing we absolutely hate gym. And I honestly, I have not been to the gym in a year. COVID, I've been avoiding.
Yeah.
I used to go every day, and I know Brannon was one of my big cheerleaders on social media. That every day I was into the best shape of my life, and I'm just terrified. It's part of my OCD. It's part of my fear of germs. It's part of my wanting to keep my family safe. And I will go back. I will. I promise. I will. But it's just been, and it's a promise to me. I don't coach you guys, but it's a promise to my. But it's. I had a friend who went back to the gym when his gym reopened, and he was there 2 days and got the COVID so bad that he was on a respirator, and he's actually those long haulers. Like he can't even remember his own name. It's been really bad. So I'm terrified that will happen to me and the people I love. So I'm not judging anyone who hasn't gone back to the gym, and I wish I was brave enough, but I will go back. So when I do, there's that machine I'm terrified of. But what is the one exercise, Chris, for you? That, like, what's your cardio? What's your leg day that you just absolutely hate?
I mean, I'm actually interested to hear this answer because I have my opinion on what it is.
One workout that I absolutely hate.
One exercise. You like pick one exercise, one machine. What
Like
is
for me,
it?
it's, for me, it's burpees. Burpees is the exercise, and,
Yeah, fuck burpees.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
oh my God.
and the
yeah,
machine I
fuck
hate
burpees.
is the I don't know what it's called. It's the incline leg press. I think there's a name for the machine. But I don't know what it's called.
Yeah. I don't know. Might be an incline press.
Yeah.
What's your least favorite
Least favorite machine?
exercise?
Exercise.
Machine.
I would say, man,
It's squats. Yeah. So, like, first time we worked out together was leg day, which was unfortunate. And I'm like, so I really want to get him into it, kind of building everything up. So my squat volume is really high. And people always want to know, hey, can we come work out with you? It's like, no, you can't. You're going to hurt yourself. You're going to hate life, and it's going to be miserable. So I cut it light. But a few sets into our first squat day, I look up and he's gone.
oh like, yeah, I remember that. I threw up.
Where did he? Yeah, he's in the bathroom blowing chunks.
Yeah.
So
That's burpees do to me.
I confidently say squat because that's when he looks unhappiest. Is when we have to do a high bar back squat.
I just disassociate whenever we do a leg day.
It's that traumatic.
I go through the 5 stages of grief. Well, not 5, but just the first one, and that's it. It's just denial all the way through. This isn't happening.
Yeah, I disassociate. I do denial. Then I go to like strictly leather, and then I think maybe lace comes next. I forget because I completely forget that. But burpees every time burpees will make me blow chunk.
Burp up, yeah. It's that change in elevation. It's the shifting of anything that might be in your stomach. Yeah, they're just unpleasant.
I've tried everything. I've done light breakfast, no breakfast. I've done like all the different levels of food in my stomach, and I will throw up every time. It doesn't matter what I've eaten.
Might have a fix on that for you.
Yeah.
So to take a low box or a low bench, and instead of putting your hands on the floor, just stick to that low surface.
Yeah.
And it's not going to even you out to that point where those contents start to come up. So that might be a good fix for you. I've used that for a few people.
Even with no contents, absolutely empty stomach, and I've still it's just the change in elevation, regardless of how like no change.
Well, there's a reason there's a million variations of a fuck burpees t-shirt out there. So
Yeah.
I'm sure there's good reason for that.
I think it's at some point it becomes mental. Like it might could be like plateau with just my arms going like this.
Yeah.
The idea.
Like a T-Rex, just sort of.
Yeah.
That just reminded me when I did my first Krav test. It was like an hour long.
Yeah, they suck.
Of just nonstop, just drilling and techniques and cardio. And by the end of the hour, we were just dry heaving, and we were so mind fucked for the whole hour.
It's horrible.
That one of the coaches, I think it was you or Rick or something, but he's like, "All right, I want you guys to do 100 burpees." And then we didn't even fight it. We're like, this is
they're just beaten down.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll just start.
And then they said, "Oh, just kidding, you're done." And then
like, we didn't think you guys were going to do it. We just thought we would say that and see what happened.
It's like the hose scene in Officer to Gentleman. They're just like, we're done. Yep, absolutely.
What a great movie. Man, I haven't seen that in years. Got to rewatch it.
It is a good one. Lou got the junior screaming mayonnaise and him down. Yeah.
Mayonnaise. Poor guy.
It's a great movie. So I think for me, I think it's a mental thing for the burpees. Yeah. Anyway, I have to tell you, you guys are pronouncing it wrong. You're in Jacksonville. It's Krav Maga. I don't know.
The big one we get is Krav Maga.
Yeah.
You do that Krav Maga? It's
Krav Maga.
Phil.
Sort of. Yeah, sort of, kind of. Sort of.
Like
yes.
Phil. It's McGraw. It's Krav Maga.
Krav Maga.
Yeah. Okay, so one more food question. Hold on. Oh yeah, what's the first thing? This is one that I know you got asked on Facebook, but I got to ask you. Supplements, vitamins, and nutrients.
Yeah.
People ask me this all the time. So immune support. Right now, it's a big thing. They're asking, like, what's the magic pill?
Good God, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
For,
so the,
for everything, all the diseases and stuff going around, what do I take?
that is, all kidding aside, that it probably is one of the most common questions that I get. Not probably, it is for sure. So I'm not a big fan of supplements, as I'm sure you've caught on if you follow me on social media. So the only actual like performance enhancing supplement that I would buy over the counter is called creatine monohydrate. It's been around for a long time. It is a very thoroughly researched supplement. It works by when it's digested, it metabolizes as phosphocreatine, which is stored about 95% of your phosphocreatine is stored in your muscles. The other 5% is stored in your brain. But it actually is a precursor for creating adenosine triphosphate ATP, and that's kind of the chemical power source that fires all of your muscles and everything else. So, and not much of it. It's relatively inexpensive supplement as well, which I think is why supplement companies are trying to push toward other things. 5 grams a day is going to be plenty for anybody that is looking to improve their performance, muscle gains, all that sort of thing. It's not a miracle thing by any stretch. Basically, it helps increase production of that ATP. It can help volumize the cells in your muscles by increasing hydration there. But it's not a miracle thing. But yes, it definitely does provide some benefit. Nutritional supplements are some things that I recommend if you can't get that nutrition from food.
Okay.
For example, whey protein and fat supplements, like omega-3 supplements. But if you can get that from food, it's always better to get it from food because you're going to get a lot of micronutrients from food, enzymes, vitamins, minerals that you don't get from those things. So better to get it there. But yeah, typically the other thing I always urge people to do, especially as they age, men and women, is hormone balancing. Check out their hormones, get those things checked, and make sure you're squared away there.
Okay. Now, I told you this on Facebook. I can't have whey, like whey powder or whey protein, because I'm lactose intolerant, and there's a lot of whey, with a lot of lactose in whey supplements. So I get it through eggs and other things like that, or I buy the vegan, which doesn't taste great. So what else do you recommend besides eggs or peanut butter for protein?
My backup for whey and casein, they both come from the same sources. So typically, if you can't tolerate whey, you probably won't tolerate casein. But albumin or egg white protein is my go-to after that. You can get beef proteins, all kinds of things that are just heavily processed down from those other sources. But albumin would be my second pick. And like you said, there are vegan proteins out there, but vegetable proteins aren't complete proteins. They don't contain all of the amino acids that you need. So if ethically you're okay with eating, whey and casein, I say go that route, but you're not going to starve. You're not going to be malnourished leading a vegan diet, obviously. So, if that's your thing, roll with it.
Cool. Appreciate that. Yeah. So how can people get a hold of you if they want to hire you, if they want to make you their personal trainer, if they want to come to your classes, or they want to figure out how to, get as buff and ripped as you guys are? Where do they find you?
Well, right now, they can email me at brannonathletics@yahoo.com. My first name, athletics@yahoo.com. Email me there. They can follow us on social media, Brannon Athletics, or coach_Brannon on Instagram. I do a lot of free stuff, a lot of answering questions, a lot of infographics to kind of help people get started. And I put that stuff out pretty much daily.
Cool. When I put this interview up, I'm going to tag it, obviously, and you can share it with your link in that tag. So do that. Anything else you guys want to add? You want to mention? Anything you want to promote? Anything coming up?
Talk quickly in case anybody else has any ideas, because one of the big concepts that we have for the future, and we've been, Erin Pruitt, who I mentioned earlier, we've talked to her about this. Yeah. One of the things we would really love to do in the future is take a gym, but make it nonprofit, make it donation based, and have it be kind of a holistic center, something where we have mind, body, spirit. We know counselors, we know people in recovery, we know people in the fitness industry, and we think mind, body, spirit for us is one big picture, right? You can't just work on your body and your mind and your spirit be okay. You got to work on all three of those things. Mm-hmm. So we would love to be able to create an environment somewhere for something like that, and we're still kind of piecing together ideas for what that might look like, whether to do a Kickstarter or whatever else it might be, but to really make it a nonprofit, have the proceeds go to charitable causes that we like to support, and kind of have it done that way. But we think that'd be pretty cool. So if anybody has any ideas, spit them at us, and we'll roll with it.
That's a brilliant idea. I love that idea. I think you should. I think, even if someone comes up with something better, I think a Kickstarter or a GoFundMe would be a great idea.
Yeah.
In addition to what else you come up with, it's just extra funding, right? So
Sure.
anything else,
Sure.
you might as well do that too. So great. I love that. I think that's a brilliant idea. When is your next? I know you do Q&As all the time. When's your next? Online, and people can.
So I'll be dropping I put a new infographic out today on kind of muscle gains. The number one question I get, apart from supplements, is definitely how do I lose body fat. So I kind of hit that one first.
And lipo, right?
You're right. Lipo works. A little uncomfortable, but so the next video that I'll be working on tomorrow will be looking for some strategies for raising your metabolic rate throughout the day and through means other than exercise. What we call that's awesome. Non-exercise activity. Basically, that kind of helps raise your metabolic rate. So we'll be doing some work on that pretty soon.
Cool. So I always end. Whoops, wrong way. I always end every show with this. Send your messages to Brannon through me. Can't remember how to get a hold of him. Send them to Chris through Brannon. send them to the show. Always send me your nudes because I'm happy to see those. Send me your recipes for noodles because I'm always happy to see those as well.
Noodles are good.
Noodles are always good. So if you wanna reach me, if you have any comments about the show, if you have any questions for my guests, if you want to be on the show, reach out to me. Send me your messages, and if you want to reach my guests, make sure you contact me through the show or contact them through their links. I appreciate you guys being on the show. Again, it's Brannon and Chris. You guys are great. Again, just real quick, give us your email address again so people can reach you.
BrannonAthletics@yahoo.com.
Perfect. Appreciate you guys being on the show again. This has been Let's Catch Up with Mike, and we appreciate you guys. And we'll put all your links in the comment section of the video. And thanks again for being on Let's Catch Up.